Today, we're tackling some real talk. Those common challenges that new consultants face, and more importantly, how you can overcome them. Trust me, you are not alone. Every great consultant has been where you are. And at the time, it can seem like the end of the world, or at least the end of your entrepreneurial journey. Lord knows that I have been there more times than I can count, even recently. But I want you to know that this too shall pass. And the nest will always provide you with a safe place. The best way to beat a challenge is to face it head on and come out swinging. And today I am going to share with you my most recent personal challenge via medical leave and show you how I'm overcoming it. So let's get to work. All right, so I thought that today would be a good day to talk about challenges because I, until this very moment, hadn't even decided if I was going to be comfortable or even share with you guys what's been going on with me. And if you are a CP insider and on my email list, then you know that I am just now coming back from a pretty unexpected and long medical leave. And that medical leave was directly related to a challenge, a health challenge that I found out about out of the blue just about 12 weeks ago. And that health challenge prompted me to find out that I needed to have brain surgery. And my brain surgery came very quickly. I mean, they were moving very fast. And so about 7 weeks after I found out about my diagnosis, I was literally being wheeled into an operating room to have a full-fledged craniotomy. I am officially about 8 weeks out now, and this is really my first week back to work. And I did everything I could with the time that I had to prepare to try to make it seem seamless, that the challenge didn't even exist. But it did, and it weighed on me and really brought me down to a place that I know so many of you can identify with. And it's been one of the biggest challenges that I've had to overcome in my life. I mean, I've talked to you guys before that I had a cancer diagnosis, actually 8 years to the day of my new brain tumor diagnosis. And I had to really dig deep to figure out how I was going to overcome this. And my family had to dig deep to figure out how we would overcome it as a team. And it was a very trying and scary time. And it was a time that would have been really easy for me to just give up on my business and to just wallow in it and cover my head in the blankets and just lay there, which, don't get me wrong, so many days happened and still happen where I want to do that. And ultimately, physically now, I still feel like I want to do that because I'm still recovering. Yes, I had a full-fledged craniotomy, and I will put some pictures in because I wasn't going to share a video at all about it. And my family thought that it might be a good idea. Some of my coachees thought that it might be a good idea. My surgeon even thought that it would be a good idea. So maybe I'll do a whole separate video about it. Yeah, it's all around this whole idea that as you are pursuing your consulting business and as you are pursuing your entrepreneurial journey, there are going to be so many challenges that come to you and that happen to you. And you are going to have to dig deep in order to be able to overcome them. And so I thought that today's video, which we're going to talk about some of the common things that I know you're feeling, especially when it comes to starting this consulting journey, this coaching business, this service-based business that you're thinking. But I want to give you some tools on ways that you can feel like you are more in control of it and that you can actually do in order to change the outcome of the challenge. So with that being said, let's get into these challenges because I want you to put an amen down in the comments for me if any of these resonate with you, and hopefully you'll get a lot out of it. So let's do it. So challenge number one that I hear you tell me all the time is that you just don't know the steps to getting your consulting business started the right way. And this is real. This is real. And I am with you 100%. So again, if you are feeling this challenge, put an amen down in the comments below, because there is so much information out there. I mean, if you Google how to start a consulting business, there will be a million tips and tools, a million different sites, a million ads related to how to do it. And all of that information, while I'm grateful, and I'm sure you are, that it's there, right, and at your fingertips, it also creates this feeling of overwhelm and not really truly being sure what you need to know, not knowing what you don't know, and not even knowing if what you're reading is accurate and right. And so I'm gonna break this one down for you pretty easily, because there really are a handful of steps, and you've heard me talk about these steps before. There's a real roadmap to successfully taking that leap from your 9-to-5 into your consulting business. And I want to make sure that you know what those steps are, because all the rest of it can become noise, and the noise will paralyze you. So first thing you've got to make sure that you're doing is that you've got your mind right. Your mind has to be in the right place. You have to know what you're up against. You have to know what you are doing. You have to understand your skills. You have to be prepared to accept your confidence levels at being the highest they need to be in order for you to be a successful consultant. Consultants are experts, and people are hiring you for an expertise, and experts have confidence in what they know. And so that mindset piece is all around building that confidence, making sure that you're choosing the right consulting idea and consulting business niche, figuring out your specific area of expertise, who your target market is, where you fit into the market, what business model you want to, really take and go into the rest of your lifestyle with. And also making sure that your time management is on point, and that you can, I would say, mitigate the fear, right? And control the fear, because the fear never really truly goes away completely, but you can put the right things in mental space and, mental practices in place to guide you. And I didn't incorporate good mental health practices and morning routines until later on in my consulting career. And Lord knows that I wish I would have done them earlier on, because it really would have helped control my stress levels. But this first challenge, knowing the steps, I've got you. I've got a consulting business roadmap that I want you to know that you can grab a hold of, and I'll make sure that the link is down below for it so that you can, be aware of it and what the steps are. But it really is around getting your mind right, understanding your market, doing your research, kind of being able to outline your goals, and then ultimately getting your legal business structure set up. So it kind of goes like mind right, validating your idea, determining your niche, and figuring out your market, figuring out who your ideal customer is going to be and your model, and then kind of creating your legal and financial structure, and then really kind of mapping out what you want your pricing and service strategies to look like. So it's just those steps. Now, how to get all of those steps done, I've done a million different videos on how to do those things. I offer support in those things inside of the 4S to Freedom Framework Learning Center. So definitely, if you want more information on that, let me know in the comments below. But those are really the steps. And so hopefully that's helping give you a deep breath, right? Because it's just a challenge, and it's definitely one that is easily overcomable, if that's a CP term or if that's a real word. And I want you to know that it's easy peasy. So you got this. The second biggest challenge that you guys tell me you are dealing with that's extremely common, you are not alone, is finding clients. You don't know how you're going to get your first client. You don't know how you're going to find your clients, and it's very, very scary.
But could you pay me in advance?
And there are really only two things in this area that you really need to understand. First thing is you got to create a strategy. And you know how I feel about strategies and structures and systems and squads, but you've got to have a strategy, a game plan. That is the first piece of finding clients. Lead generation strategy an idea around how you're going to focus your marketing efforts and the time that you have to attract initial clients and then ultimately to keep a steady stream and flow of clients coming in. And there are tons of digital and offline marketing techniques and strategies that should be incorporated into your overall marketing plan that will help you attract clients. Some of the top ones, and I've done other videos on CPTV about this as well, but the top ones for consultants specifically, when I think about digital and online, it's going to be content marketing. Now your platforms, that's totally different. Which platform you should be on, what your what your actual channel should be, totally different, right? But the biggest strategy from a digital and online perspective that you are going to use is definitely going to be content marketing. You are selling an expertise and information, you're selling your intellectual property, and you need to make sure that you are seen as an expert in order for people to automatically think of you when they have a problem or a solution a problem or a concern that you can solve. And the only way that they're going to think of you is if you are in their face all the time talking and sharing your expertise, and that is all related to content marketing. That is a digital marketing strategy. So yes, that includes social media, and yes, that includes potentially blogging. Yes, that may include a YouTube channel for you. That may include a podcast, but that is a huge piece, and that's one of the digital pieces. Offline marketing for consultants, I would say the number one for me, and I think that will be for you too, is going to be networking. Networking is key. You got to get out there. Just like you do online, you got to get out there offline and begin to put yourself in a space where your ideal customer is, and that they can see that you have an expertise, and that they can see that you have, intellectual property that they're interested in. And networking, I don't mean networking all willy-nilly. I mean strategic networking. And I just recently, right before my medical leave and my brain surgery, did a video. It might have been even while I was on leave, because I recorded so many before I left, so I wouldn't miss a beat for you guys. And I still ended up missing a couple of weeks because my recovery took a little longer, but I did a whole video on networking, and so make sure that you check that out. All you got to do is go into CPTV and in the search type in networking. It'll pop right up for you, or I will go ahead and link to it right here so that you can see what it looks like. But those are going to be some strategic things about getting clients. It's all about your marketing strategy and what you're going to employ in order to make sure you're attracting them. Now, once you get them, you got to have like sales processes and all this other stuff in place, but the leads is going to be a big part of it. And so that's how you're going to find them. You're going to employ business marketing strategies, make one, and take action. Now, I already mentioned the Consulting Business Roadmap. I want you to make sure that you grab it. You can get it at this link right here, or in the link in the description below. But I want you to make sure you grab it, because it is going to walk you through some steps of starting and also give you some insights and some tips and tools. So make sure that you do it. And while you are down there grabbing that, make sure that you like this video and that you subscribe so that you can keep the channel going, but also share it, because I think that sometimes we feel like we're out there on an island all by ourselves when you are starting a consulting business, and I want you to know you're not alone. So let's get into challenge number 3. The third biggest challenge that you guys tell me that you're facing, and I remember facing when I was just starting my consulting business, and that I still actually face when I am coming out with something new, is how to package and price my services. It's something that is a stressful thing. It is seen as a challenge, but when you really break it down, it is not, because the whole concept of being an entrepreneur is the concept of validating, tweaking, testing your packages and your pricing. You have to feel and understand and know that it is going to be okay for you to adjust and change and shift. You will do that consistently throughout your entrepreneurial journey. And so what you start out with is not wrong, right? Even if you determine, 6 months later or a year later or a few months later or a few weeks later that you need to adjust your pricing and that you need to adjust your packages, it's okay. And that is why I want you to understand that this really isn't a challenge that you need to be worried about, because Service packages are going to be something that you will consistently change. You should actually look at them every single year and make sure that they are still meeting your audience's needs, right? As your lifestyle changes, as your goals in life change, your packages and how you put them together are going to change. And you want to make sure that you are creating, packages that will meet the needs of various clients. But when you're first starting, I really recommend that you start with a minimum valuable product or service. Start with like the basics and test it out, and then tweak based upon the feedback that you're getting and the results that you're ultimately getting. And start with just one. One of the biggest mistakes I think that makes this more of a challenge than it needs to be is that some of you will have more than one package or service to start off with, which is overwhelming. So just pick one, but really base it around what your clients need. And that comes from your market research. Do a competitive analysis. And then ultimately during that competitive analysis, you'll figure out what your competitors are offering, where you fit in, what they're charging, what people are willing to pay, and you will figure all of it out. But know that tweaking is going to be a basic part of what you have to do. So do not fret on this. It's not really a challenge. It's just kind of an adjustment. And, value-based pricing is really what I recommend, but it's something that you kind of have to move into. And that means that you need to make your pricing around the value that your products and services provide, and you won't know that until you start testing. So it really isn't a challenge. I know it feels like one, but just remember, it's going to be a marathon, not a sprint, but it is definitely one that you can run. The fourth biggest challenge that you guys come to me about all the time is how do you manage your time effectively? In the very beginning, you are usually still in your corporate 9-to-5s and you are trying to start your business, and so that becomes a time management issue. Once you take the leap and you're in your businesses full time, you're learning as you're going, and that creates a lot of work hours. And then you also throw in this whole potential family thing and kids and life, and time management becomes a thing, and it will always be a thing. Through this entire brain surgery scenario, was really dealing with lots of time management challenges. And I just had to go back to my traditional big three. One is time blocking. I function in blocks. I can focus in blocks, and it allows me to really get a lot of things off of my list done when I'm doing them in blocks. So allocate specific hours each day, each week for different tasks for your business as you're transitioning while you're in your business for certain departments, marketing, content creation, sales processes, service processes. Allocate the time and stick to it. Prioritize your tasks based on high impact activities that will drive business growth. Do not waste time and prioritize tasks just because you don't like to do some things based upon that. And then I really do use a lot of productivity tools that I recommend. I use project management software, which I think is important when you are first starting out and especially as you grow your business. And then I also use different techniques, and you guys have heard me talk about that, especially if you've done my time management boot camp. And I also use a new tool called Motion, and I love it, love it, love it, love it. And I will put a link to it down below for you guys to check it out as well. And it's really been a game changer for me, especially through this whole medical leave. So definitely use your productivity tools and those big three things: produce, prioritize, and plan when it comes to time management, and you got that too. And the fifth biggest challenge that you guys talk to me about all the time, and that I have really, really, really experienced and really feel you on, is how to handle rejection and setbacks. And I thought that I would finish with this one because I started today's episode out with a huge setback that I've experienced. This is real-time advice because I'm not going to just be pulling from the archives. I'm literally sharing with you how I am still every day overcoming this setback. I am still dealing physically with challenges, emotionally with challenges, and I was out of my business and not working in my business for 8 weeks being on medical leave, and then also for like 6 weeks before that, just mentally not truly understanding what was happening. And so it was all one big rejection, not just from customers and clients like you'll normally face, but also this huge setback. So one of the things I had to do and had to do was to develop very thick skin. I have to and had to always understand that rejection is just a part of the process. And it's not a reflection of your worth. It's not a reflection of your manifesting or your life or who you are, or how good you are. It is just a part of the process. So if a customer tells you no, not right now, if they don't respond to you and you feel like they're rejecting you, it's just a part of it. It becomes a numbers game. And if you feel like life is rejecting you and it's going to just take you under, thick skin is very, very helpful. And so I'm grateful that I have had the ability to develop thick skin over the years and continue to intend on using it and getting it thicker. I also, have learned from my experience, and learning from feedback as a part of your entrepreneurial journey is going to be very important for you as well. Use constructive criticism to improve your services. Don't get defensive. Feedback is definitely a gift. And even when it's hard to hear. And so you have to take that gift and use it for what it's worth in order to get better and look at it from an improvement perspective. And think about it if you've ever done any kind of, youth sports or you participated on a team. Coaches were good for being hard on you because you were able to grow from that. And you have to think about that feedback from that perspective. I need you to pull from the depths of your soul and those experiences and keep going forward and using that feedback in order to grow and not to necessarily wallow, right? And then I think the biggest lesson that I've learned and the biggest tip that I can give around handling rejection and setbacks is I had to stay persistent. I had to keep pushing forward, and I had to not let this setback discourage me and not believe again that it was somehow a sign or a symbol that I needed to do anything other than probably take a break and probably move forward with some things that I had looked at in the long term and realized, I probably need to make that more of a short-term thing because life is short. And so it's created a whole different level of gratitude for me. And I'm going to tell you to stay persistent and don't give up. The hardest thing about staying in business is to stay in business. And the hardest thing about staying positive is to stay positive. And you just got to do it. And so every challenge brings you closer to utopia. And that's how I have to think of it. And everything that happens for a reason. And you just got to keep going and keep pushing and keep believing in yourself to do just that. Because that's the truth, right? Everything else is just a distraction. So let's recap these challenges and tips. Number 1 challenge, knowing the steps to getting started right. Grab the roadmap. I got you on that. Number 2, finding clients. Remember, create the strategy and figure out your online and offline things that you're going to focus on and go forward with that. Number 3, packaging and pricing. Whatever you start with is okay because for the rest of your career, you will be tweaking, adjusting, and making it change and making it better. So don't even worry about that. It's not really even a challenge. Poo-poo. Number 4, how do you manage your time effectively? The 3 P's of CP's time management success. Plan, prioritize, and then produce. Those 3 P's is how you overcome that challenge. And challenge number 5, handling rejection and setbacks. Thick skin, taking your feedback and using it to grow, and then ultimately just keep swimming. Just keep swimming and stay persistent and keep going and keep moving because you've got this. These challenges that we've talked about are extremely common, but now you've got the tools to overcome them. And being grateful for where you are like I am, being grateful that I'm even back with you guys and able to do this video has kept me going. And just let me know if any of these resonate with you. Put an amen, whatever numbers, and let's have a dialogue around it because your support in the past has gotten me through some of the hardest things. So that's why I decided to share my most recent challenge, and I'd love to get your feedback and hear where you are. And I'm glad to be back. So don't forget to like and subscribe and share. And until next time, my loves, I will see you next week. I promise I'll be here ready to go. Bye-bye. Mwah!